So it's pretty much a given fact of computer programming that you're going to encounter errors at some point. So this is trying to get you started to recognize certain errors that you might find, and and this will hopefully give you a better idea of what you need to do when it comes time to compile, and not be so intimidated by errors that you see. So I have built intentionally a program that has many errors here. Most of them are, actually all of them right here, are compile time errors, meaning that the compiler will pick up on them. So and I know Eclipse has pointed out some of them, but not all of them. But we'll build them to see exactly what you're going to get when you compile. So, build. Okay, so let's make the console bigger so you can see the errors. All right. So this right here, these are all your errors here, and depending on, again, this list will be longer depending on how many errors you have. So we'll look at each error line by line. So this first error right here is this in function int main. This actually isn't really an error. You notice, if you can, I don't know if you can see that, but there are some darker lines, more like red lines. Those are the actual errors. But this is telling you where it's found errors. So in the function int main, and again, we'll get into functions more in chapter 2, lesson 1. But so for right now, that's here. So we'll look at this for the actual first error here. So right here, it's telling you, okay, file name, line number, and column number. So this is giving you basically a map right to the error. So on line 13 and the second character in, so Eclipse is actually being nice and pointing it out to us. So right there, it's saying it's expecting an initializer before double. And what an initializer is just a fancy word for type keyword. So double in this case, actually. But it's not picking up that double is your initializer. Why is that? Well, that's actually because you forgot your semicolon here. And it's not telling you that, but you still need it. So when you do that, essentially, is what you're doing is this. And now you can see the problem. It's seeing two words here and it's trying to parse them as variables. You need that semicolon there. And you notice in the next line, it says Z was not declared in the scope. And that was because you forgot the semicolon. Without that semicolon, it didn't pick up on that. That was an individual variable declaration right there. So if we build that, that will get rid of this. And then we'll also get rid of this because now it sees your type keyword and your variable name. So it will get rid of all of these three errors when we build it. Okay. Oh, how'd that happen? We got a much longer error list now. Okay, well, actually, this right here is all one error. And what it's really telling you is it says no match for operator, operand types, iStream and double. So what it's telling you really here is that it can't find a function that takes the operands like you gave it. But what the actual error here is that you use the wrong operator. You use the right insertion operator that is 2 greater than signs. It'll work just fine. So build that. All right. Now we just have 2 more errors. We have result was not declared in the scope, but we didn't spell it correctly. So you need to spell that correctly. Usually that error is caused by misspelling, so you need to make sure that you're always spelling your variables correctly. So, and sometimes even if you're using like a different word, say you didn't use the word result, but you're using answer, well, you didn't declare that, you need to use result. So that would work. So build that. Okay, last one, we're expected this at the end of input. And that's just saying I need to see the closing curly bracket on the main function. And build that, and it builds. One error that you did not see here, and I'll replicate for you now, is leaving out semicolons. Now these should actually be the most obvious errors to you. This is expected this before result. Whenever you see this, it's just telling you that it's expecting some syntax character before some keyword or key point in the program. So on line 17, line 17, okay, it's expecting, actually this is line 17. So right here, it's expecting a semicolon. Don't do that. That still, well, actually it might fix the problem, but that just looks wrong. Put it where it needs to be, which is right there. And there are other ones. It'll do that for curly brackets when you start using multiple curly brackets in your program, which is next lesson, and in parentheses and stuff like that. So that was compiler errors. Now we'll look at runtime errors, and these are errors that the compiler can't pick up on. So let's say you had this program here, okay? And the point here was to ask the user for 3 variables and add the first 2 together and multiply the result of the first 2 by the last. Now, I'm hoping that many of you have already picked up on the error here. I'm not going to point it out, but let's just say that you didn't pick up on it and you built it and you ran it. So if we run it, here we go. Okay, so let's say that we have, so let's say we gave it all 2s. So 2, 2, 2. Okay, so we think about it. Okay, so it's going to add the first 2 together. It gives us 4, and then multiplies the result of the 2 by the third. So 2, it should give us 8. Okay, let's give it those numbers. Oh, it gave us the number 2. That's wrong. So where's the error? So there's a pretty simple technique you can use, which is simply outputting all of the related variables along in the area where the problematic code is. So I know it's going to be somewhere in my math here. So we just output everything that we know is. So we could say x is x, and then y is y, and then z is z, and l. Okay, so that tells us what the input is to make sure it's getting the right input. Now, it is. That's probably not where your problem is, but we'll just do that for now. Okay, so, and then after that, you need to make sure you're doing your math correctly. So we'll output results here, and we'll do it again here. Okay, so now when you compile it, it's going to tell you what these values are as it goes through your program. So we'll save and build. I know this is a little redundant here, but if you had more, you would want to do it after every step in your program. So if we build it and we give it the same numbers, okay. So x is 2, y is 2, z is 2, so it did that correctly. Oh, alright, sorry about that. I forgot to put in end lines. That makes it a lot easier to read. Okay, so we'll give it the same numbers, 2, 2, and 2. Pass it through. Okay, so x is 2, y is 2. Put in one extra end line there. And z is 2. Okay, so it got all that right. So, alright, so it got all the input right. Our first step was to add the first 2. That gives us 4. 2 plus 2 does equal 4, last time I checked. So that's good. And then multiplying z by the operation of the last one was 2. Okay, we're doing something wrong there. It should be 8, but instead we're getting 2. So we know it's between here, and oh, look at that, I'm subtracting, not multiplying. So get rid of that extra end line there. So build that, run it, give it the same numbers. Alright, now it gives us 8. That's good. Okay, so I've put together a program here that again has some errors. Most of them are compile time errors, but one of them is a runtime error. That one's actually a little elusive. I'm going to see if you guys can figure that out. So look through the program here and try and see if you can find all the errors. So pause the video and then replay it when you're done. Okay, so how many of them do you find? I can see, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so 3 basic errors here. The compiler will actually give you more than that. But so first off, you forgot your semicolon after your bool declaration, so that's going to prevent the string from being initialized here. And it will also prevent your bool here, from being initialized as well. So that's your first one. So that will make this work. And secondly, you have an error here because you forgot your semicolon. And actually, really, you'd want an end line there because it will, if you're running it in a console, it will look ugly if you don't. Okay, so that actually is all of the compile errors. But the runtime error is that you didn't initialize my int. So if you were to run this, you would get some really, really funky number like -480465637 or something like that, and that's not right. You didn't initialize it. So really, the implicit value of an int when you declare it is a null, in all caps like that. And the stream can't really read null. It tries to parse it into an int, and that causes this wacko behavior. So you need to give it a value before you can use it. So give it 4. So that has all your errors fixed. So I hope that so far these have helped you, and move on to the next lesson.